Alrighty, we are cooking with gas. Today we're going to talk about money, retirement, and frugality. I've been studying wealth for quite a while, and I'm going to tell you that saving money and being frugal will not make you wealthy. We have 2,600 billionaires and about 20 million millionaires in the world. And the vast majority of them did not get there by being frugal or saving their money. They got there by providing services, products that they sold for more than it cost to produce them. That hands down is the biggest way, the fastest way to get wealthy is to be of service. Scarcity, frugality is selfishness. Oh, and see, here's another problem with being frugal. Once you get on that path, your soul becomes cheap. Everything, I remember reading this forum of this guy who had a net worth of $2.2 million, and they were staying in $50 a night hotels. Me personally, I stay in no less than a 3.5 star. And at some point, you got to enjoy your money. And if I had, I got more than 2.2 million net worth. There ain't no way I'm staying in no $50, $60 flea dump hotel. The cheap mentality, this I'm trying to get rich, I'm trying to manage my money. And also, this is dependent upon systems and stuff that may not be there in the future. A lot of retirees from GE have had their pension funds revised. You got your money in the stock market, guess what? They can change the terms anytime. The best way to get ahead is to start a business, to be of service to your fellow man. That's where you need to be. That is where you need to be. You know, this whole frugal, cheap mess, it doesn't work for me. It really doesn't. And speaking of being service, everything at Hustlers Kung Fu is 50% off using the promo code MONEY. Just go through there. This is my way of being service to you. Get the basic financial course, getting into the course to help you begin your path to entrepreneurship. This is going on today. Get on it. Make your plans for future wealth. Go ahead and get it. Now, I put up this thing on my Facebook page. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know. It should still be up there. Let's see. Here we go. Here we go. A 36-year-old New York lawyer who makes $270,000 says he lives off rice and beans so he can save 70% of his salary. Let me read that again. A 36-year-old New York lawyer makes $270,000 minus. Lives off 70% of his salary. Now, these habits are not going to go away. And this is one of these fire movement guys. Once again, this is a singular pursuit. This is about saving money, being super frugal, being super cheap. It's about you. You're not providing anything to the greater economy. Therefore, you're not going to get wealthy. Because see, I don't consider people who have 1.8, $2.2 million in the stock market wealthy, because their wealth is a slippery slope. I just don't consider these folks wealthy. I consider these folks living paranoid. Let's see. I'm going to give you an example of what I feel is be better. You can have $2.2 million in the stock market of paper wealth, or you could have $2.2 million in real estate. What do you want to have? I'm with the real estate every time. The real estate is not going to be adjusted for lack of sales. Real estate isn't going out of business. Real estate isn't, I'm going for the real estate every time. So someone that, also, I will give you a different trajectory. Let's say someone that has $2.5 million in the stock market and someone has $800,000 worth of real estate. I feel the person who has $800,000 in real estate is better off. They get depreciation. Any way you look at it. So you got a lot of people here living on this paper wealth. And, like I said, being frugal, like I said, there's 2,600 billionaires in the world, 20 million millionaires, and most of them didn't get there by saving money. They didn't get there by being frugal. They didn't get there by being cheap. Most of these people paid off their houses within 10 years. They were not living super cheap. Thank you, Mr. G, for the $10 super chat. Joseph Lagana, what about advice for people who want to be regular? Like people who don't want to build. Fuck those people. You're listening to the wrong channel. This channel ain't for regular motherfuckers. Stop trying to be lazy. If you want to be regular, you want to be lazy. You don't want to put out. You don't want to. Stop watching this channel. There ain't no shit for regular motherfuckers. There ain't nothing. You must seek to be exceptional. This whole I need, it's like people coming to me for the dating course. Like, hey, you got something for regular dudes? No. Being a dom is about being a leader, being responsible. Y'all gotta let this regular shit go. You gotta let the regular stuff go. Fuck regular, fuck average, fuck normal. Low expectations. And it's going to be hard to be happy when you are poor. And this is where these little events. I remember when I was a little kid. Thank you for the $20 super chat, DSL Chronicle. I remember because we were so poor, we would go to McDonald's and a Happy Meal made me so happy because we didn't have anything else. What's your take on Graham Stefan, Dan? He's one of those pathologically super frugal people who can't enjoy money. What is the point in having $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $7, $10 million and you are afraid to buy a $30 t-shirt? That makes no sense whatsoever. I think there's something mentally wrong with these people. And once again, this is the common knowledge. He's a real estate investor. He buys real estate. He provides housing for people. But the people who get rich provide greater service. All right, Ernest. All right. All right. All right. Cause see, let me just show y'all something. All right. So this is Chernobyl Greek yogurt. This became a $1 billion company, and he set it up where the employees own the company. They feed people. They provide a service. He got to become a billionaire very quickly. It's a private company. Founded 14 years ago. 14 years ago, dude's a billionaire. Shinobi is an American dairy processor specializing in strained yogurt. The company was founded in 2005 when Hardoni Yuka bought a plant in the town of South Emerson, New York, that was being closed by Kraft Foods. Yorgi hired several of the former Kraft employees as well as a yogurt master and launched his brand in 2007. Shinobi is the top-selling Greek yogurt brand in America, operates the largest yogurt facility in the world. It produces, including a Greek strength, flip snacks, and a smooth non-Greek yogurt. 14 years to being a billionaire. This is the dude. Born 72, is a Turkish Kurdish businessman, entrepreneur. Is owner, founder, and chairman, CEO of Chernobyl, the number one. His net worth for June 2009 is $2 billion. He did not get to $2 billion by saving and scrimping and being cheap. Born to a dairy farming family in 1972 in a small village in Turkey, he immigrated to the U.S. in 1994 to study English to take a few business courses in the EU. In 2002, he started a modest feta cheese factory on the advice of his father. He became a billionaire in 14 years, man. 14 years. That did not happen by scrimping, saving, being cheap. In April 2006, he announced to employees he'd be giving them 10% of the shares of the yogurt factory. See, this if people studied wealth like I studied wealth, they would know, like, take Graham Stevens. He's doing this because, it's very popular. It's very trendy to be super cheap. And, he's a young guy and he's like, I'm a millionaire. And this is why his channel is growing. But dude does not tell you how to make money. It's all feel good pop psychology stuff. This is how you make money. You don't buy nothing. You wear these cheap shit. No. He's just a cheap dude. And, I am not with the cheap people. All right, Johnny, thanks for $10 super chat. I don't know how you switch it up. All right, thanks for the $15 super chat. See, this whole notion of being frugal, if you study business and you study the people like the people that I got this house from, he was a regular dude 10 years ago. He's a multimillionaire today because he provides a service. He provides a product. He provides service. You can get richer way faster by providing service than being super pathologically cheap, which is based upon a scarcity mentality. Well, I can't spend this money like Richard Fain. A lot of people like this whole topic because he did a video why millionaires have jobs. And I don't know what kind of millionaires he knows, but all of the millionaires that I know own businesses. They don't have no jobs. They ain't working the 9 to 5. See, there's a difference between the type of millionaires that I talk about and everyone else. And a big part of it are these paper net worth millionaires, where their net worth is constructed of their house, some stocks and bonds. They don't have no cash. They have no cash. The millionaires I'm talking about, they got $1 million or $2 million in the bank. They can write these big checks. They can write these $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 checks. It's a big difference being that kind of millionaire versus these paper millionaires. Graham Stephan, he's a paper millionaire. He can't stroke a check for $1 million. If he does, that's going to be all the money he has. So all his property, all his net worth is illiquid. So, a lot of people want to be these paper millionaires because one of the things they like to calculate is their house, calculate their insurance policies, calculate their 401ks, and put all that together. But if you would say, hey, man, I need 100 G's, they couldn't come up with the money because they have no cash. Where all these billionaires and the millionaires I'm talking about, they can write these big checks. They can go to the bank and write a check to make the bank bounce. Do you know that if, I tried to do this when I got my last car. I went to the bank and I was like, I want to get this in cash. And they didn't have the money in the bank. They said, well, if you're going to write a check like that, you need to let us know in a few days in advance. We won't tell you what day the money hits here. Seriously. And you don't hear any stories from any of these other folks about stuff like this because they haven't been through this. He provided value. God is Noel. Men just like sexy catchphrases. You're right, Glendon. We must work hard. Yeah. He's highly leveraged too. Man, he's a billionaire with 2,000 employees and owns a yogurt factory. This is the typical Dave Ramsey millionaire. House, stock market, but no cash. No cash, Let me go ahead and just break down some numbers for you. Let's see, if you had a cash business and you were making $25,000 per month, which will get you an income of $300,000 per year, and you lived on $5,000, you took $20,000 and invested back in the business or more business activities, you'd be living on $60,000. You would be richer than many of these paper millionaires from a cash money standpoint. Because I'm telling you, cash money is the best thing ever. Having the ability to do your own deals, be your own bank, finance your own deals, that's the stuff. And once again, this is not stuff for regular folks. You know, if you want to be regular, you need to stop watching this channel. I'm trying to make you extraordinary. I'm trying to get you to a different level where you can, your next car, you write a check. You go to the bank, you get a cashier's check for the, you talk to the, your conversation with the dealership is very short. What's the price? Negotiate the price. Okay. That's the whole price, drive out price. Okay. I'll be there at 2:00 with a cashier's check. And then they're going to call the bank to make sure your check was written by the bank. The bank's going to verify it. And you're going to drive off with your new car. That's where I'm trying to get you. Not this normal, regular, living on credit, having a 72-month car payment plan. I'm trying to get you to where you eventually get to the point where your house is paid off in 5 or 6 years. House paid off, cars paid off, no credit card debt, high cash flow. That's how I'm trying to get you. I'm trying to get you here. That's my life. I don't have no car payments. I don't have no consumer debt. I got a business loan, which I took out and paying them back their own money so I can develop my business credit. I mean, I don't need the money. That's where I want you to be, where you don't need the money, where you not like, I got to have some funding for my house and rental estate. No. Build a business. This whole frugal thing, I'm exposing this because it's built upon a house of cards that can fall down. You got all these people. It's like, it sounds good. Like, Graham Stephan, he's a real estate investor. He got a few pieces of property. He's playing the leverage game, but he's extremely leveraged. What is his cash position? What is the cash position and how do you use cash? Because, there's a Manny Corporation who is a cash money millionaire. Dude's got like several $2 and $3 and $4 million cars. That you don't leverage that. You don't buy a $5 million car if your net worth is $2.5 million on paper. You can't afford that car. Manny did some big deals, and Manny's probably got 50, 60 million in the bank. And, he plays the game, he uses other people's money, but he actually has cash money. He is ahead of the curve. As prep, I believe you're only as rich as you're liquid. Absolutely. Appliance boot camp. The banks have gotten worse. They try to force you to get a cashier's check instead of cash nowadays. The other day I needed less than 10K in cash. They made me come back that afternoon to get the cash. Everyone needs to keep some cash for emergencies. Look at the California blackout. Supposed that that's what's going to happen. You couldn't buy. I mean, yeah, that's wild, Jabras. That for folks who don't know, they're planning rolling blackouts for California. I know, Roderick. The banks just don't have that money laying around. I got a car. I was trying to sell my other car, and everybody came at me with a trade because they don't have no cash. See, this is where the super frugal, I'm going to give you a plan if you get married, how you and the wife can get rich. First of all, when you two get married, you two need to be debt free. All right, that's the first step. You both need to be debt free. You need to go into the marriage with no debt. And from day one, you and your wife, you're going to sit down and you're going to have this discussion. Hey, baby, we're going to live on my income. We're going to save all of yours, not half. Not you pay the light bill. No, we're going to save your whole check. And let's say, both of you are making like 55. So so that's like $43,000 a year you can save. After 2 to 3 years, say 3 years of savings, you're in the position where you could pay cash for one rental property. So you're going to take that 42, 84, 120. You're going to take that 125. You're going to find you a rental property that you can buy outright. Get yourself a renter in there. You're going to keep saving your money. This is a 10-year plan. So this year 3, you got one property. Year 6, you get another property. And, she's making more money. So now you got 2 rental properties that are providing you like $2,500 to $3,000 per month. Plus you saving $40-some thousand a year. Because see, the 10-year plan really takes off in the latter part. Because now at this point, you're saving all of the rental income, which is $3,000 a year. From 2, this is year 6. So you got $3,000 coming in a month. That's $36,000 plus your 42. So essentially in 2 years, you've got $72,000 and so now you're in that position in year 8 to get another rental property. So now you got $4,500 a month coming in rent. Whoa. So, by year 10, you're in the position where you could do this every year. Take the rental income, take what you save. Oh, wait a minute. So you got 4 pieces of rental property, no credit card debt, no car payment debt, and you got all this cash flow coming in. She don't have to work no more if she don't want to. That's just a 10-year plan. Like, essentially, every married couple needs to be on this plan where they're saving, living on one income and saving another one. If I were to get married, because any woman I marry would be working, this would be the plan. It's like, okay, we're now one. You have no debt. I have no debt. We're going to take your income. We're going to save it all. And then we're going to, I'm going to pay all the bills and we're going to take your income. And every year, plus, we're going to get a rental property. It's not sexy. It's not exotic. But it makes money. Because if you are marrying a woman so you can have more cash flow to buy more stuff, you hustling backwards. Man. I think they like me driving the '03 Mustang I bought for $1,600. I always had newer cars with payments, but only could afford to put $10 in the bank at the time. Roderick Hayes, men need to stop dating these completely broke women as well. If her regular speech and thoughts don't dwell on coming up the world, dump her. Pretty much. My last comment was back in February 2014. If you marry the wrong person, and let's talk about that, because I did a video on the other channel where I was talking about, if you meet a woman with good financial habits, this was a keeper. This was a woman you could build with, because the average chick is like hands out, hands out, hands out, because she's impulsive and she doesn't know how to control herself, control her needs, and control her money. But this whole being super frugal, being pathologically cheap is not the way to real wealth. It's the way to paper wealth. Because see, like a pathologically cheap person couldn't let go what I let go from my last car. They just couldn't do it. They'd be like, oh no, it's killing me. No, that's too much money. And pathologically cheap people have a price for everything. Like I met one guy, I'm gonna tell y'all this story. This actually happened to me. This happened when about 2014-ish, 2013-ish. I met somebody who was a business owner. We had engaged in business consulting. And my consulting, he was making $25,000 a month. My consulting boosted him up to $80,000 a month in 90 days. Our consulting fee was $5,000 a month. He didn't want to go up. Let me say this again. I took him from $30,000 a month to $80,000 a month, and he could not justify, because in his mind, he had a price for what he was going to pay for my consulting, not what my consulting, because I wanted to raise my price to about, $15K. So you go from 30 to 80, you go to a $50,000 a month differential. That's worth it. He didn't see it that way. And I didn't argue with him, and I never worked with him again. And then once his business started to slide back and he kept trying to get me, I was like, no. Because I refused to work for, and the next time I got into consulting, I was getting $40,000, $50,000 per month. See, there are these pathologically cheap people believe there is a, I'm only going to pay $10 for a pen. I don't care if the pen is made of gold. I don't care if the Lord Jesus Christ signed the pen. I'm only paying $10 for a pen, because in my mind, pens are only worth $10, and to pay more is just crazy. And these are what these pathologically cheap people do. They have fixed these values in their mind that are completely not in line with reality. They're looking for a fire sale for everything. Funny thing is, many broke women talk about coming up, but they're trying to come up with a man. I mean, Roderick, that's what I was thinking. The real James, a good business is finding a good woman, fix her up, and invest in her. My friend had these two girls. They had a large following. They host party. He gets the cuts and pays the girls. Sounds like he's gotten a business arrangement. I ain't mad at him. If you could find a woman, there was this girl at the YouTube event in Buckhead. She had 1.2 million followers, and she was 16 years old. She was very, very much a child. She would just do some, she was a child. She would do childish things. I mean, it was normal. And with the right guidance, that could have been a lot of money. Now, part of my claim to fame is I'm a creative soul. I rather create a situation than to encounter a situation that I don't have any control over. Because if I don't have any control over it, that's because if you don't have control over it, then regardless of how much money it makes, you may not get that money for long term. Look at what happened to Matthew Knowles. Matthew Knowles, Beyonce's father. Look what happened. They booted him out. If it wasn't for Matthew Knowles and his high income and the ability to get her and all this stuff, there would be no Beyonce. But once again, he got kicked out, because he was just management. We're going to get rid of him. The path to wealth isn't being cheap. It isn't being frugal. It isn't being stingy. It isn't being so cost conscious. Because like that guy, he's like, I got a net worth of $2.2 million, but I will never pay more than $50 for a hotel room. That's ridiculously cheap. And once again, when you're that cheap, this is something that you pass on to your children. See, once again, if you want your kids to be courageous, outgoing, mentally healthy people, you got to let that cheap stuff go. I mean, you got folks out here who are scarred from their childhood. Those bologna sandwiches. I mean, they're doing their thing. Guys out here shouldn't feel you shouldn't be 50-50 with a woman. The man should pay 100%. Let me address that. If you are the man, I feel that you should provide, but also this notion of letting a grown woman spend her money any way she wants to with little regard to the family dynamic is just butt naked stupid. If I get married, I'm like, okay, what's going to happen is we're going to pay bills with my check and we're going to save every penny of her check. And it's going to go into a joint account with both our names on it. And before any money comes out of that, it will be discussed because the goal is to take that money and invest it. So we're working together. We're equally yoked. And, that's the plan. Because, once you get past 3 rental properties, and let's go ahead and describe this. 3 rental properties that are paid off. Once again, this is the Hustlers Kung Fu channel. We talk about doing extraordinary things like paying cash for cars, paying cash for houses. Because at this point, you could be an owner. And owning 3 to 4 houses that are paid off are better than owning 10 to 20 houses that are leveraged. Because if the house is leveraged, you got issues. Let's say your house is paid off. Let's go ahead for the 10-year plan. You and the wife, you got your rentals, and then all of a sudden you got an eviction. You lost money that you could take off your taxes. Loss of revenue, you could depreciate against that. But the bank ain't going to come snatch your house because it's already paid for. So let's go ahead and do, this is the plan for your wife. This is why you want to marry a woman with no debt. You want to marry a sensible, submissive, obedient woman. And you be like, look, we're going to save all of your income. You ain't going to put it up in because see, your 401k benefits you. Your 401k doesn't benefit us. Me paying all of the bills proportionally directly benefits you every month. So we ain't going to worry about your 401k. We're going to take this money. We're going to put it in the bank. We're going to create a corporate entity with both our names on it to house this property in. Because let's say you got 10 houses that are leveraged and your cash flow at $200 per house. You got one house that's paid for, you rent for 2,000. Same cash flow, less hassle, less risk, less leverage. Because see, I'm here to change you guys' thoughts on money. Get some cash in your life. Get your cash flow up. Get your cash flow up. Start a service business. You can start a service business painting rooms. Seriously, not even painting no house. It's like, hey, I paint a room for $90 or $150. I paint this room, put that on Craigslist, and you paint you 10 rooms a week. That's $1,500. That's $6,000 a month. You could do that part-time in addition to your job. So you got $6,000 a month coming in. That's $72,000 a year. Cash. But you got to work for it, man. A lot of people don't want to work for that cash. They just want it easy. Man, the bologna sandwiches. Y'all remember those bologna sandwiches? You put it in the pan and you slit the bologna because it would raise up into like a little bubble. I've been there. Appliance Boot Camp, you're telling the truth. I'm so tired of consulting people who are trying to run a business on the software and content from the internet. The DSL Chronicles, man, I don't eat bologna sandwiches to this day for being scarred from childhood. Hey, Johnny Walton pretty much need a ride or die woman. A financial ride or die woman. They also show you, there's a lot of women, man, Stefan, you can't build with. We do not need to date to help. Roderick Hayes, actually, most black people, in my opinion, are scarred from childhood. That's why it takes us longer to come up. We have mental barriers. Green Machine, yes, the bologna with the red ring. Don't forget to press the meat with the government cheese. Man, we put bologna in the pan to eat them up and switch it up. Ooh, I don't like ketchup from this day. I don't mess with ketchup. I am not a fan of ketchup from my childhood. I don't mess with ketchup. A lot of people, from those days, man. Those days. So, the whole, the thing is that we're trying to get you on a different financial plan. And we got to start with the children. You don't need to be borrowing 80, 90, 100K for college. You need to take your butt to community college and pay for it as you go. Because I listen to Dave Ramsey every day, and I'm just amazed at the number of people who are in these situations. Short change. If you don't have at least 100K liquid cash free and clear, don't bother investing in the stock market. Fried bologna with barbecue sauce is good. Ugh. Ron, it's just like heading up in an organization. The leader must prepare themselves to be worthy of following. We must grow ourselves first. Absolutely. Hot dogs are nasty. What about spam? Oh man, there are certain things I don't eat anymore as an adult. I don't eat bologna. I don't eat spam. I can't deal with that stuff. I just can't deal with it. But we need to approach the children and get them off the American indoctrination into the credit system. Essentially, that's just like, hey, I can't buy it now, but I'm gonna buy it on credit. We got to get people out of that mentality and get people to a cash position. You know, if I had known better, my first car would have been paid off in cash. I mean, I had like $3,000 down payment, which would have bought me a pretty good used car, but I did not have that understanding that I have today. I was introduced into the American indoctrination of the credit system, and it took me many years to escape. It took me many years to get out of that. Self-publishing with Walter Wayburn, student loans are the downfall of America. They could be. SREP, how do you avoid complacency? You make working a habit. Like me and ramen noodles, I can't eat it anymore. I've not read those two books. I don't know. Oh man, Vienna Sausage Party. Man, you took me way back with that one. Good Lord. I didn't know that. I was stationed in Hawaii, but I didn't really go out too much on the economy. Alexis, I put my daughter as an authorized user, then give her the card, check her credit myself. She has a 700 as a 20-year-old. She can't have any so, you got a lot of things going on. I mean, that's what I did for my kid. I put her on one of my credit cards, never gave her the credit card. And within 2 months, she had a score of 720. So just one credit card. And this is what we should do as our parents, because essentially, unlike Dave Ramsey, I do believe in credit. I believe you should have you some credit cards. You should have a good credit record, and you should know when to use debt. But once again, debt is to be used for appreciating assets only. It's not to be used for a vacation. I've seen people go out and blow $20,000 just traveling. And if that was an investment in your business where you got a return, that's one thing. They just blew it. Just blowing big money fast. Big meech. So once again, this whole, I put it up. Some people are like, well, he's saving, he's living on $81,000. Actually, he's not. Let's see. 270,000 minus 15%. Minus 70%. He's living on $68,000. And he's living in the high rent district. That's one of the issues with living in the high rent district. But if he didn't live in the high rent district, he probably wouldn't make the income that he does. So It's a give or take situation. Self-publishing, Walter, get used to carrying cash. I went to London. I had $3,000 cash on me. Cash. Banks and people have like, hey, you shouldn't carry cash. You shouldn't have cash. And also, you with some credit cards, you can actually pay them off. You could actually overpay them. A lot of credit cards have gotten away from that. Like Chase, I was surprised. I was actually able to overpay them this week. It must have been a glitch in their system. That's what I had my mom do back in high school and add me to her credit score. I'm now at 800s. Cool. Well, it's one thing. Essentially, a lot of people were using their kids to get utilities and stuff. A parent's job is to set their kid up, not to set their kid back. One of the things that you should be able to get out of this is once you come to the cash position, you become very powerful in today's society because I've been watching a lot of the real estate channels, and it has surprised me that none of these guys have saved up what's called an operational account. If you've been flipping houses for 14 years, you should have $1 million or $2 million operating budget, which allows you to do deals, to buy houses, to have renovations going on without income coming in. And you should be on this cycle where every few months you get this big influx of cash, but you should have this is the reason for the holding company, operating company. And a lot of people are not practicing this. There's one guy, I'm not going to say his name because I kind of like him, but he's been flipping houses for 14 years. He has no rentals. All right, Richard. And none of these guys have created a operating budget because, after 3 or 4 years of flipping, if you don't have the budget to do your own deals, you are not managing your money correctly. You should have enough money to do 2 or 3 deals simultaneously, then, be in a situation where you can take advantage of market opportunities because you have an operating budget. And it's like some people are allergic to cash, or they're going out and buying stuff because, see, the wholesalers, the successful wholesalers, are running into crazy tax consequences. There is no way that I would have a business that does $200,000 or $300,000 a month cash. I would, you know what your taxes are going to be on that? I would live. This is why I live on. I put money back in the company. They take money out the company too fast. I remember listening to this podcast where this guy was just he was broke. His car got repossessed. He started making some money, and he's just I just want to ball. This is ghetto hood mentality. From poverty to escalated riches, back to poverty again. This is hood ghetto stuff. If you lost all your money, since you got this knowledge, see, this is the thing. Look up the people who own Wells Fargo, the Mellons, the Carnegies. They haven't lost their money. They didn't have to start over. Decade after decade after decade after decade, they kept building. And once again, like Grant Cardone cannot become unrich. I think once Grant Cardone got to 500 units, he could not become unrich. Let's see, 500 units times 1,200 per month is $600,000 per month times 12 is $7.2 million a year. This was just 500 units. When he got to that point, he could not become unrich. He could never go back to being broke. See, this is one of the things that when you study money, when you get to certain levels, you will never, ever be broke again. See, this is the ghetto poverty, we always building and no. Once you put certain financial rules into place, you can't become poor. And it's about avoiding risk. Like, I would never take all of my company's money and sink it in this one thing and hope and pray that it's going to take off. That's super risky and stupid. But a lot of people do stuff like that because they just feel it in their bones that it's going to do okay. They feel it in their bones. And it just isn't going to work out. Yeah, Grant borrowed money to get that many buildings, but Grant is playing the game correctly. I learned without an operation budget, you'll always go but. And see, this is why I always say even millionaires need budgets. Everybody need a budget. On whatever income level you're on, you need a budget. Whether you're making $200,000 a month or you making $2,000 a month, you need a budget. One of the things I see is that people are in love or this fantasy about money. When I get to X amount of dollars, someone that quoted that 70% of lottery winners are broke within 5 years because they don't know how to manage money. They don't know how to manage money. They don't know how to keep money because, like I said, this whole frugal, being super cheap and going into the stock market, this isn't how real wealth is created. This isn't how most of the billionaires got there. This isn't how most of the multimillionaires. Because see, once again, I know cash money millionaires. You're like, oh, like my neighbors. They pay cash for their $830,000 house. And they've been renovating it for months. Probably gonna put like $200,000 or $300,000 in renovations in it. Cash money. Cash money is a different walk. It's a different talk. And so many people are not in a position where they have cash. So many people. Vape King, yep, if I ever win the lottery, first thing. If I ever played the lottery, because I don't play the lottery, so I would have to play to win. But if I won the lottery, all the money would go into real estate. Every last dime would go into real estate. Like I won $220 million, I would be out buying single family. I would be getting apartment complexes. I would be getting commercial office buildings. I mean, the whole, like, whatever I won, I don't care if it's $1 million up to, whatever. All of it, straight into real estate. Because I can get a return from my investment. I'll elect debt because I don't get taxed on it. The real James, there's a way that you could play the corporate game where you keep the money in the company, keep spending it where you don't have to pay taxes. You only pay taxes on this thing called profit. Carl Guntz on LinkedIn. Most people are broke because they let short-term thinking drive long-term decisions. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I will never play the lotto. It's just another tax. Yeah, I don't play the lottery either. Because I know statistically the odds are way against me. So it just isn't worth my time. But once again, I'm trying to bring y'all to the cash side, the bright side. Because once you get to the point where you're dealing with cash, everything changes. Like, this attorney who's living on $270,000 a year, he's eating X, Y, and Z to save money. See, if you do something like that for 10 years, you live super cheap to bank your money, to save your money. Once you quote unquote retire, you're going to still be that same cheap motherfucker. And I personally don't like cheap motherfuckers. They're like, this whole, Richard Fain, he's talking about the reason that I would not pay cash for cars. It's number one, you can't. I peeped that. You can't pay cash for these cars. You put down a nice down payment, but you can't pay cash for these cars. Because if you pay cash, no interest, because even at a low interest rate, a home mortgage will cost you an additional $100,000 to $300,000. That's money. And you hope that your house is appreciating. But if you pay cash for a house at 120, then you turn around 4 years later and sold it for 160, you made money without losing a penny. Come to the cash side. Seeing I invested in an apartment complex for my self-directed RA. Funny, well, none of my friends know you can do that. You can do a lot of stuff. Dedicated. I'm interested in pursuing a child support course, but I don't know if it applies to my kids or 18. I owe a significant amount of back pay in California. You screwed. Child support course ain't gonna help you. You screwed. You got two choices. You can either pay your arrears or you get the mother to go to court and forgive the arrears. That's your only option on that. I mean, I keep cash, got a little cash up in the house. Once again, when you buy a house, you need to look for a good deal. You lock in your profits, because right now the market here in Atlanta is crazy, and I'm not jumping into it. My coworker won $600K this weekend. Ooh, fortunate for him. Yeah, dedicated. You screwed on that. Because, see, this is one of the things that the child support course is for people who are just getting started with this process. Like, once you in the system, you already, they got you. They got your social security number. They taking money out your check. You got to have a totally different strategy. Like, your situation is messed up. I mean, are they taking your tax refunds? Have they taken your passport? Because essentially, it all starts down to your situation is you got to make more money and get that handled so you can live your life. You can live your best life. Vape King, look for distressed properties. Even in the seller market, distressed properties are going to be cheaper. This is something else that I've looked at. And this goes back to the fact that most people don't have money. A lot of these houses I've been looking at have fallen in such a state of disrepair because whoever owned it did not have the money to keep it up. Up here, when I moved in this place, there was another house for sale. They had redone everything. That house sold in 5 days. Once you become a cash person, a person of means, you will find out that people like hanging out with you. You will find out that people enjoy being around you because you ain't a cheap motherfucker. Yeah, if you want to get a deal in the seller's market, look for a distressed property. They're all around. This is going to be something that's not going to be move-in ready, or it could be, but you're going to have to update it. Because this is one of the things that when people buy new houses, they're like, I want my stuff updated. I'm not trying to live in Rudy Pootville. Yeah, I would suggest, you should always be stacking money. You should always be in a position where you're putting money away. You should always be in a position where you have excess cash flow. And this is why you need to start, your first business needs to be a service business. So you can get you some cash flow so you can get your time back. Because so many people are in the situation where they don't have their time. Because, this whole thing of being super frugal and stuff, I don't feel like I went ahead and got me some t-shirts and stuff and some stuff off of eBay. I spent like $300. I didn't even think about it. For a pathologically cheap person, that's an agonizing description. Like, I'm going out to get the new iWatch, and I'm going to flip this one on eBay. With life, you've got to spend some money to make yourself happy. I mean, for you to be happy, you got to spend some money. And a lot of people don't understand that concept of spending money. I mean, we live life we live life, man. You got to be happy. You got to enjoy yourself. You got to take out life's moments. And this whole notion of being scared to spend some money because like I had one guy, he broke it down like this dollar, this isn't a dollar, it's $10,000 if invested, and that's how I look at every purchase. That's a suck ass way to live life. Like, well, I can't buy this because it's going to cost me this. If you deploy the make more money mantra, like, going back to Richard Fain, like the reason that I don't pay cash for cars is I can put some money down, get a good loan, take this cash over here and have it working. What about make so much cash it don't matter? When I bought my car, I had half the money come back in the next month. So within 2 months, I was able to replenish my savings account. So it doesn't really matter if I spend this money because I have more money coming in. Well, Vape King, not even that. It could just have. It could be It could be not updated. It can have funky kitchen cabinets and stuff. Bro, you're almost preaching the kingdom and don't realize it yet. Make more money. This whole being super cheap, eating bologna sandwiches, eating spam, eating ramen noodles. That's a choice. But if you were to become of more service to your fellow man and make more money, you wouldn't have to do all that. Something just occurred to me. When financial advisors tell you to save more money, most people don't think to themselves, I need to make more money to save. This video, that's what I'm trying to, hey, that's the point, Stephen. You need to make more money. Dedicate all above. I have a decent job now, make almost 80K annually, been setting money aside to get my side hustle off the ground. You start a service business, you won't have to save that much money. M. Sway, this is true. When I did door-to-door sales in ATL back in 2004, so many people needed some improvements, home improvements, but couldn't afford it. But a clean new car in the driveway. The American indoctrination of the credit system. I mean, seriously, because I'm looking at these houses and, even around here, like some of these houses, they're not updated, but they're not in a bad situation because you can rent them out because you got a lot of older people in here who are like fine with the wood paneling. They're fine with the canaries on the wallpaper. They're fine with all that stuff. But, to get someone new in there, you're going to have to do some new stuff. And this is one of the ways to do it. All right. So once again, everything at Hustlers Kung Fu is 50% off. Use the code MONEY. The link's below. And I will see you guys later. Remember, you got to start a business. The 2,600 billionaires, the 20 million millionaires around the world did not get there by saving and scrimping. Like a small percentage. The paper millionaires got there like that. They own their house, they have X amount. They don't have no cash, man. They don't have no cash. This is why big purchases freak them out, because they only have a little bit of cash. Get used to having cash in your life, player. Get used to it. And I'll see you guys later.